Hello, and welcome to this short video on how to create a golf course nutrient management plan. Today, in the next 10 minutes or so, I'm going to show you just how easy it is to create one of these plans and try to dispel that notion that this is an intimidating process. My name is Carl Scamenti. I'm an urban environmental scientist here at the Cornell Turfgrass program, and today's video is brought to you by the New York Golf Course Foundation. So the New York Golf Course Foundation is a group of superintendents in the state dedicating themselves to the adoption of best management practices. We're fortunate enough to have this website set up by the Golf Course Foundation that outlines all the BMPs for our New York State golf courses. This website is in its 2.0 version now, soon to be 3.0, and you can get all the information on the BMPs I'll talk about today at this website. All right, so why is it important to have a written nutrient management plan? The first one I think is communication. Oftentimes superintendents are talking to people, verbally communicating how they use chemicals, whether that's with your greens committee, a member on the golf course, maybe a GM. And then that's a great way to do it. But the risk with verbal communication is sometimes people misinterpret what you say. There's a saying in my family, you're hearing me, but you're not listening to me. So the idea with a written plan is to have a concrete, curated document that you can hand somebody that properly outlines how you use fertilizer in a way that they're not going to be able to misinterpret. Second reason why to have a written nutrient management plan, just commitment. You're more likely to commit to something if you write it on a piece of paper. For example, if you have a best management practice at the start of the year that you want to adopt that year, writing it down is going to give you a higher chance of actually staying with it the whole year, as opposed to just having it as something in your head that you've been thinking about. And third one, I think this is a big one for a lot of people, transparency. As golf courses, I think we tend to shelter ourselves from giving out data to the public, and that's rational because the public perception of golf courses in a lot of cases is very negative, right? People think we use a ton of fertilizer, we're spraying it all over the golf course, applying chemicals all over the place. But I think the reality is that if we write on the piece of paper when and where we actually apply fertilizer, people who understand fertilizer amounts are going to realize it's probably not as much as they think, right? For example, the biggest areas of a golf course are areas like roughs and fairways, and the majority of golf courses don't treat roughs. And there's lots of golf courses that don't even apply fertilizer on the fairways either. So I think it's okay for us to acknowledge we use fertilizer. Having these plans gives concrete data to people. And I think when they have that data, they'll realize that we don't actually use as much as people think we do. And then the final reason is just basic record keeping. You never know when this data may be useful. You may be a person now who isn't very data centric, and that's okay. But if your future self in 5 or 10 years finds these data useful, it'd be an awful shame if you didn't have it now to look back on. So just keep these, a written plan gives you that data to look back on. You never know when that's going to come in handy. All right, so the next step is how to create a nutrient management plan. If you do some basic searching around on the internet, you'll find something like this. These templates are out there. This one is from Virginia that outline kind of all the content that needs to be in a nutrient management plan. So you'll typically see a page or two at the front with site descriptions, a couple maps of the soils, of the management areas. And then again, you see a lot of writing about soil test, how to soil test, application rates and timings, turfgrass types, soils, other BMPs. And if you'll notice, when you go through these things, that the pages really start to add up. We're already at 25 pages here. And I think as superintendents read through those plans, a couple thoughts come into their mind. One, that's a lot of work. Two, you might not have time for all that work. And the last one, I think people read through these plans, see all the BMPs listed, and think, oh, if I don't do all those BMPs, can I make a nutrient management plan? So I'm here to tell you that you can fit all that same amount of content into just 4 pages It'll take you less than an hour to complete, and that you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to do all of those BMPs to create a nutrient management plan. So a simpler way. What is the simpler way? It's this nutrient management worksheet that we've developed in conjunction with our friends at the P2I Center at Rochester Institute of Technology. So this worksheet is very simple. The idea is that we create a bunch of prompts that ask you questions about your fertilizer applications. And as you work through the worksheet, there's a lot of yes and no questions. You'll see these logos next to each question. A par logo, following the golf metaphor, is something we expect every golf course to do. Par BMPs are very easy. They're low cost. We think every golf course should do those. But then the birdies are a little bit harder, right? They require a little bit more effort, a little bit more time. Just like a golfer, making birdies harder than par. And then the eagles are that final step, the really kind of next level BMPs. Most golf courses don't do eagles, and that's why we have them labeled as such. But the idea is that you work through this worksheet and answer the questions. You'll identify certain BMPs that you may want to implement in the future. Oh, here's a birdie that I may want to do next year. Or here's an eagle that maybe I can attain. So basically, this worksheet has 4 pages. The first page over here on the left is basic information that I've already talked about, why it's important. The second page is just general information. You'll see here, it's actually a drought and nutrient management plan worksheet. It's kind of like an infomercial here. You buy one, get one free. There's a lot of overlapping information when you look at drought emergency plans and nutrient management plans. So this first page is all that overlapping information. Where your golf course is located, what kind of soils are there, what kind of turf species, right? Basic information, takes you no time to put down. And you already see maybe something here about, do you have a map of your soils? And again, if you don't, you can click no, that's okay. But we actually have a little video resource here that walks you through how you can print those out very quickly. You can go to that resource, watch that video. In 15 minutes, you'll have a soil map of your property. So you can find this worksheet at the following address. This will also be linked below in the YouTube video. And then we start to get to the meat of the worksheet. So this is the nutrient management portion. One page, again, you can see yes and no answers, fill in the blanks. And again, this par birdie eagle concept, you start to realize, right? So not every golf course may fertilize based on traffic levels or will measure turfgrass growth rate. And again, that's okay. The whole point of this par birdie eagle system is to help you identify the attainable BMPs that you can go after in the near future. And then the last page is the drought management portion. How much water do you use? How do you figure out when to water? Same sort of concepts. So you'll notice again, those birdies and eagles, you may not even know what some of those are. That's okay. We have resources to help you out with that. Straight from the golf course BMP website, there's this little document on nutrient management planning. It's got some details in there about how to soil test, how to interpret the results of a soil test, and then even how to use equations like the growth potential equation to figure out and predict how much nitrogen fertilizer or other fertilizers you need to use over the course of the year. So again, the link is right here below on that, and you can find, again, more resources at the BMP website. So this simpler nutrient management plan, you just saw it there. There's 4 pages to the worksheet. You fill those out. You print out your fertilizer records, whether you keep them on an Excel spreadsheet like so, or if you keep them by hand. You attach that with any soil tests you have, and then maybe the soil map of your property, and bam, nutrient management plan. You've created all that same content that we saw in some of the templates that you can find online in a much quicker, easier process. So ultimately, we're trying to reduce the writing burden. I think that's one of the big things that superintendents get intimidated about. Writing a 25-page report is not something easy. So we're trying to remove a lot of that writing portion and get you to answer those prompts that really outline how you fertilize. And then again, we're maintaining all the same details, information, all that content is maintained, just in a more compact version. And then the final thing is just helping you learn, making you aware of certain BMPs and giving you resources online to figure out what those are and maybe choose to implement one or two of those in the future. So thank you for watching this video. Good luck on creating an interim management plan. I hope these resources prove helpful for you in the future.